Yo, what's going on, guys? GZTV back with another video. Check. Remove it. We are here with Dave, the season 3 premiere. Yeah, man. We're just gonna quickly talk about this episode. I mean, they're less than half an hour of episodes. It's pretty much just a casual watch. I just think they're hilarious, and I think it's cool for Dave to kind of interpret his career a little bit, and yeah, he kind of interprets his career and puts it in a TV show. So I think that's really cool. So yeah, I'm gonna go check something 1 second real quick. My fault. Alright, I had to go check something. Is my snowball even working? Yeah, okay. Let's get into it. So what happens when a deeply insecure yet narcissistic man becomes famous? That's the main question that Dave is pointing at this point. Or is asking at this point. What the hell? Sorry, I'm a little tired. For 2 seasons, we followed a fictionalized version of rapper Dave Bird, aka Lil Dicky. Most people know who he is, on his rise from a meme to honest-to-God touring musician with a studio album. In that time, Dave went through a long creative drought, moved back in with his parents, and repeatedly alienated almost every important person in his life. His now ex-girlfriend Allie, hype man Gato, roommate and manager Mike, childhood friend and photographer Els, an old co-worker, and graphic designer Emma. Dave has officially made it now, whether it's due to charisma or genuine skill, or a lot of luck and white privilege. Hint, it's both, especially the latter. With his debut album Peanut charting, yes, that's what it's called, the dreams that seemed so out of reach only a couple years ago are coming true on the regular. Is it possible we're due for a season of a happy, stable Dave Bird? One who simply enjoys the many privileges he's been afforded, never taking his blessed life for granted? The answer is no, of course. He still has other things to worry about, because this is Dave we're watching. That's not to say that the first 2 episodes of the 3rd season completely undo the incremental progress our unlikely and often relentlessly annoying hero has made so far. I'm not going to talk about the 2nd episode. We're going to watch that next week, as well as the 3rd episode. I'm pretty sure we're going to watch both. There are indications that in some ways this Dave is more mature than at his nadir in season 2. But the narcissist almost always comes out when given the opportunity, and Dave is still a victim to the same fears that have always ailed him. Fame doesn't automatically or even usually lead to true confidence. Old insecurities don't disappear just because everyone knows who you are now. And sometimes they even get worse. We can see that in the season opener Texas, which quickly establishes the basic dynamics on the tour bus for Dave and Gata. Looking for love. They're looking for love tour, which he literally is looking for her girlfriend. That's why he called it the looking for love tour. Dave has managed to mend fences with most of the friends he'd risked losing. He's on more equal footing with Gata, even if Dave still has far more name recognition, and Mike is still keeping everything running as smoothly as possible. And yeah, Gata's starting to get kind of jealous of Lil Dicky or Dave's fame, Els and Emma are along for the ride too, with the former on hand as DJ and sound engineer, and the latter filming a documentary of the tour. Of the main crew, only Allie is missing, of course, because they're not in a relationship anymore. Neither of these first 2 episodes really delves into the supporting cast in a meaningful way, and it's hard not to crave more of the ensemble after almost an hour focused solely on Dave. It is his show, after all. But I'm sure they'll get their time to shine. This show really is mostly about the eponymous character himself, for better or worse, and I expected the season to start off Dave heavy before we start to get into the deep downs and the specifics of the other characters. Much of Texas proceeds as you might expect from the title, with the classic fish out of water comedy of following a neurotic Jewish guy from the Northeast as he dips his toe into Southern culture. There are unfriendly gun-toting gas station clerks. There are countless white fans who erupt into cheers whenever they hear the phrase "White Boy Summer." When another gun-toting local calls David a gay man, his drawl makes it sound like gayman. It's just funny. Like, he says gayman like Gaiman like that, but he's literally meaning to say gay man, like, you know. This is not everyone's experience at Texas, of course. Lou Vrake and Randall Valdez Castillo's script isn't always keen on subverting the setting as so much as using it for a self-contained horror story backdrop, but the personality of the state and the mythology it carries are critical, and Berg knows he has no room to condescend. Dave himself is a different story. His mention of the opioid crisis would be cringy, even if Texas were a part of the Appalachian region he's referencing. Of course, the biggest regional fantasy Dave falls for goes by the name of Campbell, the pretty blonde nurse who immediately wins Dave over with her down-to-earth southern charm. Again, he's looking for a wife. He needs wifing material. You know what I mean? You're like out of a fable, he marvels after learning about the many goats she owns. And yes, her story is very fucking fabled. We learn about that later. Campbell's friends are big Lil Dicky fans, but she personally doesn't know much about him, which makes her the ideal fantasy for Dave, whose desperate search for love hasn't turned up anything but thirsty fans who only want to fuck Lil Dicky, which happened at the beginning of the episode. As much as Dave wants to let loose and have fun on tour, shaking off the angst of the last year, at the end of the day, he just wants someone with whom he can feel comfortable sharing his most intimate desires. Campbell seems like she could be that person, at least for the duration of precisely one conversation. But after she falls asleep in the middle of her friend's party, the truth comes out. She only pretended not to know Lil Dicky because she knew from watching his interviews that he'd be into that. It's kind of fucked up. It's a surprisingly sad reveal. It was clear this whole episode that Dave was headed for now, but unlike his usual self-created problems, this one was out of his control, which sucks, honestly. It only gets worse when Campbell's friends interrupt his frustrated monologue about preconceived notions to demand he shows them his manatee-shaped dick. Because he obviously has hypospadias, I think it's called. He actually has that in real life, like he's not even lying in the show. He said it, he's talked about it in interviews and stuff, so. That familiar tense Dave score kicks in, and eventually all of Dave's clothes are ripped off except the latest Dave's collection of sex grotesqueries. The Scroll Guard, a diaper-esque condom edition meant to reduce the risk of STIs, which it's just fucking hilarious. Like, the show's just funny as hell. Like, all the sexual shit, like, and for the most part, it's very awkward and very weird and funny. So, yeah, it's awesome. After a dark chase through the fan-infested roads of small-town Texas, Dave arrives at a still-open massage parlor where he secures a ride from Mike in the most low-effort, unconventional handjob ever, simply straightening the bend of his abnormal penis, from the kind masseuse who doesn't speak English and likely has no idea who Lil Dicky is. It's just funny, man. The episode ends on this rare, strange moment of ecstasy. It's not the context Dave hoped for. He'd rather have his soulmate do this, but it'll do in a pinch. He's just looking for love, any kind of love, I guess, at this point. So, yeah, we'll talk about the next episode next week. Leave a like, comment, and subscribe. As always, it has been GZTV, giving you guys the best TV show content. We are getting ready to talk about Dexter, but Dave is a very good time. We're gonna watch the rest of season 3. And if I want to, I might just go back and watch the whole other series. Even though that doesn't really make sense. I already did. I just didn't cover it on the channel. If I need content later and I'm desperate, I'll do it. But yeah, we have content lined